being recorded.
So this article pissed me off so much. Article pissed me off so much. Like I am so close to breaking down right now. I am so close to breaking down. This men and assholes, they just need sex. Sex itself, okay? Sex itself is designed to be parasitism on another. The reason a unit of life is an independent organism that doesn't have to interact with another except for its progeny is exactly why this is exactly what makes men assholes. Now, he has to assume that this design is normal simply by men being of the human phenotype. This is what he's basing this on. He has to assume that males are human by the simple fact of their phenotype. Of course, he doesn't understand that the design of the sex is parasitic design, which means the other organism, in any species that has this, the other organism, no design to want to reciprocate that need for that parasitism. The other organism does not have the design to reciprocate, exactly like if you are looking at a parasite of another species, because it is the same, because it is the exact same. For it to be a parasite, it has to be another organism. For that is the only design. That is the only design for which another organism gets to come inside of you. Another organism that is not your progeny, that is not a duplication of you, gets to do that. That is the only design that exists. That means the sex cannot not be parasitic, because that is the only time this occurs, that another organism gets to be inside of you. Because the unit of life is an independent organism that is independent of another organism. Species are the same species. And for them to be a parasite, they cannot be human. That is impossible. That is impossible. Because the only thing that can come into another organism based on the design, based on the actual design of nature that is applicable to every organism on Earth, is that it's only a parasite that does that. So yes, in fact, men are assholes. Yes, in fact, men are assholes because they keep, even when we give them the benefit of being humans, they continue to behave exactly like their species is. They continue to behave exactly like parasites. They continue to behave exactly like they are another species. From their own behavior, we get to know that they are parasites. There is a lot of women out there calling men parasites, but these women don't even understand that what they're saying is biologically accurate. I am like the only one who knows that it is biologically accurate. They keep calling them parasites as though they are social parasites only on a social level, but they are actual biological parasites. They are actual biological parasites. And these women don't even know how right they are, because what they are seeing is the parasitic behavior of males. The very idea of sex is parasitic. And you don't even understand exactly how much these men want the sex. You don't even understand how much they want it. Maybe you have experienced it. Maybe you have experienced it and you actually have maybe clocked it. But let me tell you how much they want it. They want an infant girl. They want an infant girl and have her for life. And have her 5 times a day for life. The only reason they don't do infant is because they have to care for the infant. It's because because the infant would die, because they would not care for it. They don't care to care for it. They do not care to care for it because they are just here to use you, because they are parasites. Because when you have to care for a child, you have to put in cost, and they do not want to pay cost because they are parasites. That is what they want. They want an infant child till her death, 5 times a day till her death. 5 times. Well, no. 5 times is what they do for adult women who can tell them no. Adult women who can say no multiple times a day. They maybe want it twice as that. Maybe they want it 10 times a day. To her death or his. For life. This is what they want. This is their real biology. These males are not human. That is what they want. That can only be parasitism, because there will be no life for this other organism, exactly like parasites would do. The reason they don't tie adult women down is because you have to now cook and clean for them, which is exactly why they are bothered by when you are not doing anything. Because the only reason they let you up is so you can cook, so you can clean. You either need to be serving him sex, or you need to be serving him cooking, or you need to be serving him cleaning. But you must be serving him 24/7. They are, in fact, assholes. They are trying to humanize themselves, so that you think that what they're doing is just perfectly reasonable. Exactly how they got the pygmies brainwashed. Exactly how I was brainwashed. You think that something about them actually is human. I went through a period of my life when I was trying to be fair to men. Fuck that shit. What they want is complete takeover of you. Let me repeat that. What they want is complete takeover of you. Let's read this damn thing. It can only be parasites. Freedom paralysis. There are a million things going wrong between men and women. No, it's only one thing that is going on between men and women, and it is because one is a parasite and the other one is not. Because one is a human, the other one is a parasite. That is the only thing that is wrong, that is going wrong. That is the only thing that is going wrong, and it is going wrong. But except that it is the foundation of every little thing. Because when you are a parasitic organism, when you are an organism suffering from parasitism, you cannot focus on anything else. That is why it is everywhere. You cannot focus on anything else. The parasite will take over your life, and if you don't deal with it, it kills you. It takes over every aspect of your life, and then ultimately it kills you. There is only one thing that is going on between men and women, and that is because men should not be here at all. Men should not be here at all. Scott Galloway says, men aren't taking enough risks or making enough of themselves. Dating coaches say the sexes aren't trying hard enough to make themselves available in public spaces. Lewis Perry says women have unrealistic expectations of how wonderful and fulfilling relationships ought to be. With parasites, zero. All of these are true. There are a million other diagnoses, prognosis, and details of the dating/marriage landscape that are clearly going wrong for both men and women, which is weird, because if you were to design a society to offer maximum freedom for men and women to have exactly the relationship they want all of the time, it will look exactly like this. That's actually not true. That is actually not true. It would not look exactly like this. It would look exactly like 0 marriages, 0 relationships, 0 procreation. zero procreation, because women would have realized something was wrong with these males, and they would not want to procreate with them. Actually, it wouldn't be zero procreation, it would be far less. It would be far less. There would be no sexual contact. If it was to be, if the freedom was to be maximized, there would be zero sexual contact between either one. There would be even zero contact between either one. There will be zero contact, because you are not meant to socialize with parasites. Means maybe we don't understand what we want or need as much as we think we do. Maybe when you give yourself too much freedom, you actually forget how to commit to something and be serious about it. Now, so that is the assumption that you need a man. That is, again, under the wrong assumption that you need a man. But you remember, you are supposed to be an independent organism. Every organism on the planet is supposed to be an independent organism. Every organism on the planet is supposed to be an independent organism, which means you would not need another person. You would not need to attach to another person. But they have to make you think that they are supposed to be here, that you're supposed to be with them, because how else do they justify their own existence? How else do they justify the feelings that they have? How else do they justify the 24/7 need for attachment to a female? How do they justify that? That is not natural in any way, shape, form, or nature. Which means maybe we don't understand what we need or what we want or need as much as we think. Maybe when you give yourself too much freedom, that is my opinion. Yes, it is an opinion, because it is not based on facts. It is not based on facts. He keeps going by his biology alone, right? He keeps going by his biology alone. He's not doing objective biology. He's not doing objective biology. The objective biology that he's using is that, oh, there are males out there. There are other males of other species out there. Other species have males, therefore it must be real. Not understanding that, yes, other organisms can be affected by the same parasite. Other organisms can be affected by the same parasite. And the clue for you is that the females react the same way that we do. The females of those species react with the same way that we do. They don't want anything to do with these males. They do not want anything to do with these males, which is exactly what the design would not be. Which is exactly what the design would not be if it was in fact natural. If it was in fact natural to the organism. If it was in fact natural to the organism that is suffering from it, you would want to be with them. You would want to be with them because that would be your design. That is, in my opinion, what's going on in our world now. We are deeply, profoundly unserious about everything, including relationships. No, because you don't need relationships. That's just why it can break down easily. That is why you can break down easily. I need you all to understand something. Like, I need you all to take a look at your body. I need you all to take a look. If you're drinking coffee right now, if you're drinking coffee, if you're eating, if you're doing anything, okay, no matter how many decades are going to go by, how many centuries, you are still going to want to drink. You are still going to want water. You are still going to want to eat. You're still going to want what? A family. Right? You're still going to want those things because those are your nature. Having them with males, however, is not. That is why these things keep breaking down. That is why religion is dying. They were never real. They were propped up with a bunch of lies. And the reason the birth rate is shutting off right now, because that is a feature of being human. Because how do you know when you are supposed to stop doing something? How do you know when you're supposed to stop eating? Because your body has a way to tell you that you had enough. That's exactly the same way with reproduction. Our body has told us, in this climate, with this many people, with this social conditions, With this lack of resources, there is no need to have any more children. And we are all globally receiving that message unilaterally. We are all globally having the same message because the same thing is happening globally. This is not a mistake. When something is global, it is not a mistake. It is a feature. It is a feature. But there's one thing in particular, maybe a footnote to all these men versus women conversations that bothers me and always has bothered me because I think it's worthy of being much more than a footnote. And it's men's relationship with sex, which again is weird. We live in a time that is more permissive of sexual openness than probably any other time in history. We teach literally everyone, even transgender kids, that they should embrace their sexuality. Like the No, we actually don't do that. We do that to women. We do that to women because women have been oppressed by it. See that they're not understanding this. They're not understanding that on the flip side, it has been used to oppress women, and that the idea is that nobody should be oppressed, and that the singular idea is that no one should be oppressed, which is why what makes sex. This is what makes sex an abomination. That no one is supposed to be oppressed. Straight man sexuality is a huge source of contention because you use it to oppress others, both for couples and for the public. Women seem to be overwhelmed by it and disgusted by it, perhaps here and now more than ever and anywhere. We don't want to ask honest questions about men's sexuality, perhaps because we have been culturally taught not to accept it, or perhaps because we're afraid of what the answer might be, because you have shown it to us whether we liked it or not. We have seen it whether we liked it or not, because you have used it to oppress us at every era of time, at every minute of time. You have used it to oppress us. We do not want to know more about it. We do not want to know more about you. We want you gone. We want you gone and away from us. I want to answer two questions. Why do men want sex so badly all of the time, and why is this? And why is that a problem? The House of Misrepresentatives. Let me start in the most obvious place. Most men are not Andrew Tate. Most men are also not doormats. Most men are not oppressors. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Most men are, in fact, oppressors. Nor are they completely worthless. In the interest of being transparent and fair, let me also say this. Inside the average man, somewhere, is the fantasy of being a powerhouse of sexual conquest and having women submit to him. Submit before him. Oh, no. Men are not oppressors, but you also want women to submit to you. Let me ask you, Mr. Jason, do you want to submit to somebody else? Do you want to submit to someone else? Of course, the answer is no. Then why do you think another organism would want it? Why do you think a woman would want it? Why do you think a woman would want it? But they're not oppressors. This is what you see that you desire. Well, men desire these things, but they also don't do anything about it. But they also don't do anything about it at all. They're just good men. They want these things, but they're just good men. They want this thing. They want the little oppressor, the little oppression of women, but they also don't do anything to oppress women. But they're also good guys. But they're also not undertaked. Nonsense. The abject nonsense it takes to have to write this nonsense. In the interest of being transparent and fair, let me also say this. Inside the average man, somewhere is the fantasy of being a powerhouse of sexual conquest and having women submit before him. That is a very real desire somewhere inside most men. It's biological. No, it's not biological. No, it's not biological. No, it is not biological to this species. You are free to feel like this as long as you get out of our species. You are free to feel like this as long as you're not doing it in our species, so that we can recognize you for not our species that you are. So that we can have our defenses up. So that we can actually have a fighting chance. It's biological and not going anywhere. But this is the important part. Most men do not have it in them morally to actually treat women like shit, so they don't. Nonsense. I pulled up I made a video once where I pulled up the violence, the excuse me, the downloads of violent games, like who's participating in them, who is participating in them. Yeah, 3.1 billion, 3.1 billion of them. Right? These are the games where they're using all the sexuality on women and violence on women, right? And violence everywhere. Violence everywhere. If all of them are the same, if all of them are expressing violence in their hobby, to the tune of billions, what the heck can you tell me that the average man isn't violent? If they're all if they all despise games with the normal female, with the average female body, right? What the hell can you tell me that they're not like this? So far, they're saying 25% of them have looked up violent, sex porn with with the female is being oppressed. Well, the female is being oppressed. 25% of them, and that is an undercount. That is an undercount. That is a serious undercount. Anyone who said that, anyone who did that test, I really need to know. I really need to study the actual data, how they conducted the test, because they have to have a way to make these people tell the truth. Because not everyone, just because you ask people questions, doesn't mean they're going to tell you the truth. That is an undercount. That's a damn lie. That is a damn lie. If you choose basically any random man, you will get violence, abuse, and anything. That is what you will get. Every time you do that, you will get that very scenario. What are you talking about? It's just, it's most men. It is most men. Most men are not oppressors, nor are they completely worthless. Most men are someone in the middle, somewhere in the vicinity of guy fumbling stupidly through life, trying to be a good man, hoping that someone wants to participate in good sex with him. Yeah. Someone wants to participate in her own parasitism with him. Listen to that. Hoping that you want me to parasite you. Hoping and praying that you want me to be that you want me to parasite you, and that you're going to willingly smile through that, and you're willingly going to lie down through that, and you're willingly going to submit to me and treat me as your parasite host, as your parasite child. Yeah, most women, that is what most women want. The breakdown of marriage globally is telling you that is not, in fact, what women want. And the reason women do not want that is because that is nobody's design to put up with that nonsense. That is nobody's design. That, too, that is far more biological than than the nonsense that he's saying. That is far more biological than the nonsense that he's saying, because this is manufactured biology. You understand that they made this dynamic happen. This is not anyone's dynamic. This is not anyone's natural dynamic. They made this dynamic happen. This is a manufactured dynamic. This is a manufactured biology. They manufactured this biology. That's why it doesn't hold up. That is why there is evidence after evidence after evidence that it doesn't hold up. They manufactured it. It is their biology that they forced on us. It is not our biology. Most men do not have it in them, morally or actually, to treat women like shit. So they don't. That's just not true. That is just not true. Most men are somewhere in the middle, somewhere in the vicinity of guy from disability. This is what I think a lot of confusion comes from, in terms of men and sex, and in terms of pretty much everything we ever talk about. The outliers define the conversation. Some small percentage of men are genuinely abusive assholes, and the conversation revolves around them. It is not a small percentage. It is not a small percentage. Abusive relationships were 48%, which is an undercount. Which is an undercount. And 60% of girls are being abused before they get to adulthood. And Egypt has 94%, 99.4% of women of females are sexually assaulted. This is not an ancillary problem. 99.4% of Egyptian women say they have been sexually assaulted. This is not excellent. And you have to understand that male is male everywhere. So whatever the differential in the data is, that is telling us that only 48% of women have been abused, and only 60% of girls have been abused. Something is missing. Something is causing the data to be miscounted. That is what is happening. Something is causing the data to be miscounted. And it's not on Egypt's side. And when you talk about, oh no, do this thing in the privacy of your home, right? Don't talk about our relationship. It's a betrayal of your husband if you talk about your relationships. How could that not lead to an undercount? How could that not lead to an undercount? Reason, the evidence that he keeps giving us about their right to the sex thing is what they manufactured. The evidence that they are presenting to us that they are human is the evidence that they manufactured. If you look at objective evidence, there is zero support that they're even supposed to exist, much less this sex. If you look at objective data, they're not even supposed to exist. Well, I think a lot of confusion comes in. A lot of the confusion comes in terms of men and sex, or in terms of pretty much everything we ever talk about. The outlier defines the conversation. Some small percentage of men are genuinely abusive assholes, and the conversation revolves around them. This is how public discourse works in the 21st century. All of the worst offenders are used as standing representatives of an entire group, and the conversation is about tearing all of them down, meaning the middling regular people get turned down along with the people who are actually the problem. Because of this, the average man is not only demonized for his milquetoast desires, but is now terrified of women and of sex, and it should be. It really should be. Actually, no. It needs to be worse. It needs to be worse than that. It needs to be worse than that, okay? It needs to be worse than that. I hope one day we can get a society that punishes them for wanting this. I actually hope that we get a society that punishes them for wanting sex. Yeah. But the problem is that if it was such a little amount of them, how come you don't do anything about it? How come you're not doing anything about it? How come you don't care enough to do anything about it? If it is such a small amount of them, how come you're not doing anything about it? How come when a woman is killed, you can see in the comment section a range, every single man saying that this is deserved. How come? Explain that to me. If your average man is this, if your average man is this milquetoast thing that you're talking about. Hmm? If average man, if you look at the men, if you look at the men who are, let's say, the violent video game data that I told you about, right? That I researched myself. If we were to look at that, yeah, and then we were to look at the ones who are saying, "Oh, we're abusive," and the data where the women are saying that they're in an abusive relationship, right? And the ones and the data where it's saying that the young girls are abused or sexually abused before they reach 18 at 60%. If you look at that, yes, you will get what you call it? You get an overlap, but you will also get the ones who don't overlap. You will get the ones who don't overlap. which means that they simply add to the number of men who are doing this, who are actually like this. Your children, your little kids, literally almost every kid, almost every male kid wants violent things as toys. What are you talking about? How come this doesn't apply to females? How come the data is straight on females? How come the data is pretty straightforward on females, but you're trying to tell us that the data is not straightforward on males? How come? How come the two? How come the data is straight on males and females, but you're trying to tell us that they're not? But the two are pretty consistent in how they live their lives. Trying to tell us that no, that even though they have all this data that keeps showing all these things and it's pretty consistent, that they are actually more like women, and that we need to check them on as if they are women, and so they are more like women. Listen, there is no evidence. There is no evidence that is too great for them to not try to brainwash you with. There is no evidence that's too great for them to not try to brainwash you against that evidence. There is no evidence too great for them to say that no, that's not, this evidence is not correct, and that it's really something else. Lies, just nothing but lies. They should be terrified of women. Thank God if they are terrified of women. Thank goodness. That's not a good thing. No, it is a good thing. No, it is a good thing. It is a good thing. We are not in nature documentary. Let's try to answer the first of the two questions. Why do men want so much sex all of the time? Even the average regular guy who isn't assertive or dominant wants sex all of the time. Why? To put the answer into two words, it's love and biology. It is not love or biology. It is not love. Well, it is their biology, but it is manufactured biology. They manufactured this dynamic. It is not human biology. What he's trying to say that this is human biology. It is not, in fact, human biology, because there's only one human in this dynamic, and it is the women. There's only one human in this dynamic, and it is the women. It certainly is not love. It is not love. It cannot be love, because they're not even of the human species. Okay? Every nature documentary you've ever seen details how the males of most species spend their entire lives stupidly chasing the ability to mate. Exactly. The ability to mate. The ability to mate, which is to get something from the female. There's no love in it. And now he's basing that on their own. He's basing that on their own. Right? He's basing that on their own. Oh, he's trying to compare that to their own, which would, if you're going to compare them, you have to compare them apples to apples. You can't say that what they're doing is love, and what they're doing, which is just chasing tail, and versus what men are doing, which is based on love, but they're the same. You're just chasing tail. You are just chasing tail. Love is the lie that they're using to bait us. Children is the lie that they use to trap us, so that we cannot escape this dynamic. Even during humiliation, exhaustion, or death for it. That is also how human males are. I need you to understand something, okay? Women don't love to the point of death. Women do not love to the point of death. If it is not reciprocated, that is nothing biological about this. And the reason you do it for your progeny is because it is reciprocated. So the man chasing humiliation, exhaustion, and death, yeah, that is when the females don't want it. When the females don't want it, that is a sign that they are consuming the females. They are consuming the females. There is a consumption happening. Consumption of what is yet to be understood. And that is what I was hoping I would even get from this guy. That's the reason I even read this before. That was the That was even the reason I even opened this nonsense article in the first place, because I was hoping it would give me an insight of what the sexual behavior is doing for them. Let me repeat this. The sexual behavior must be doing something for them, must be giving them something on a consumption level, because that is the only design of which this behavior is. Love is not designed this way. Do you understand that? Love is not designed this way. The design of love is not designed this way. This is categorically the only way you design something of which consumption is necessary. They must be getting something consumed from females for this dynamic to be this way. The love part. Imagine the happiest, most secure, most warm feeling you've ever had in your whole life. In your whole life, that's how a woman's body makes a man feel. Sex to a man is not just an output, an expression of love. Sex for a man, it is love. It's the same thing. Level of nonsense here. That is why you want it 24/7. Love is not designed for you to want it 24/7. This is a lie. This guy is blatantly lying. Love is not designed for you to need it 24/7. Love is not designed for you to need it 24/7. Which means what he says can only be a lie. This is not how love is designed. This is how consumption is designed. It's a lie. He's lying. Because I need you to get this. If it is love, why cheat then? Why murder your wife? If it is love, why cheat? If it is love, why cheat? Why murder your wife? Why be murderous? Why kill your children? I mean, the things that he's saying, they are not backed by objective science, by objective observation, by objective data. If it is love, why are half of these males killing their wives? Why are you cheating? Why do you need 500 men, 500 women? Why? Why then do you tell us women you don't need us, we are useless to you? Why do you do that? Why do you tell us you don't need us, we are useless to you, that you're better off with what? That's right, robots. Why do you want robots then? Why do you sleep with animals then? Explain that to me. Why do you want to sleep with animals? Why do you want to sleep with horses? Why do you want to sleep with robots then? Why are men happy with robots? I just got data yesterday that 15% of them now are doing the robotic relationships. 15%. That is not a small amount. That is not a marginal amount. That is not an outlier. That is a significant data. 15% is significant. And it's just only getting started. We don't know how far this is going to go. We don't know if it's going to be 100% of them. We don't know if it's going to be 80% of them. We don't know if it's going to be 50% of them. But 15% at this early stage is pretty significant. It is significant. Why? If it is love that you are chasing, love is a human thing, then why? Why do you need to cheat? Why are you happy with robot women? Why are you doing it with animals? Why are you doing it with dead people? I'll be right back. happy with women dead. Why do you need to kill women if they don't want to, if they don't want you anymore? Why would you need to force anyone? Why would you need to oppress women? Why do you need a woman to submit to you if it is love that you seek when women are able to love as well? Why? He is lying right here. He is expecting that you will see his human face and not know what is actually underneath, and that by the human face you will give him the benefit of doubt that he's telling the truth, that what he's describing is human nature. That is what he's expecting. He is trying to tell you that this is just human nature. This is just human biology. It is not human biology by the mere fact that it keeps killing you, it keeps diseasing you, it keeps rotting society. Anything that is human biology would not do this. Anything that is human biology would not do this. This would be like, your human biology would make rotting eyes for you. No, it would not do that. It would not do that. If it did that, that's because something has gone horribly wrong. And we have this problem because something has gone horribly wrong with us. Because something has gone horribly wrong with us. That is why we have this problem. And the problem is that we have been parasited. We have a parasite. Romantic love is the same thing. No, it's not. All right, this might be an okay answer. There's something here, but then the question is, the second question is, why is that such a problem? What is it about men's sexual needs that women find unacceptable? What is it about men's sexual needs that women find unacceptable or not worth honoring or participating in? Okay, great. Men need sex. Excuse me. What is it about men's sexual needs that women find unacceptable or not worth honoring or participating in? You don't see it. You do not see it. You literally said you want it 24/7. You literally said you want it all the time. That is literally taking. That is literally stealing another person's life from them. In order for them to give you sex 24/7, they have to not have a life of their own. You don't see a problem with that? Do you guys hear the parasitism in him? Do you hear the parasite in him? Do you hear the parasite in him? Do you hear it? What is it about men's sexual needs that women find unacceptable or not worth honoring or participating in? The fact that you want it 24/7 and therefore a woman cannot have a life of her own. That is it. That is the singular thing. Okay, great, men need sex. But why so much of it? And why is the woman's job to endlessly take care of that? Not to give you the whole, well, it's just biology thing again. Again, a short answer might be because even after hearing what we've just said, women or culture more broadly still choose not to understand or accept it because not giving men sex is more convenient than giving them sex. Yes, because what you're doing is you want to steal somebody's life. With that sex thing, yes, it is definitely always convenient to not give somebody your life than to keep your own life. Yes, it is always more convenient to not give somebody your life. Because you need to give men sex doesn't exactly fit with the modern with our modern cultural narrative. It never fit any timeline. It never fit any timeline. Women have always categorically said they do not want this. Women have always said they did not want this. In almost every scenario, in almost every movie of about olden days, you would hear something about a crone, right? About a crone woman who was unsuccessful in dating or this and that, right? Those are the women. Those are the women who didn't want it. Those are the women who were trying to wake the other women up. Those are the women they called crones. Like a woman who didn't want this, who knew something was desperately wrong. We have taught women that it's okay not to honor that need, and we have taught men that they ought to be above that need. Yeah, you can't honor a parasite parasitizing you. Again, the entire narrative he's trying to paint here is that this is a human thing, therefore it deserves human treatment. It deserves humane treatment. It is not a human thing. This is an other organism thing. This is an other species thing. It is not a human thing. The debate that they're trying to have now is that no, it's just a sexual thing. It's a two gender thing. When the debate needs to be, are you even human? Prove to me that you're human. The debate needs to be, prove that you are human, because I have data that said that you're not. Prove to me that you are. That is what we need to bring the debate to. Why are you not honoring a need? Somebody needs to put themselves inside of you. Why would you need to honor that? Are you nuts? Go hire a fucking sock. Go and hire a sock. Hire a sock. Somebody wants to put themselves inside of you. And you must honor that. Listen to this brainwashed parasitism. It's making me go crazy. Why don't you want to honor someone having to insert themselves inside of you 24/7 so that you don't have a life? Why don't you honor a man who wants to fuck an infant? Why don't you honor a man who wants a 9-year-old so that he can fuck her for her whole life? 5 times, 10 times a day. Why don't you honor that? If you don't honor that, we might kill you. We might burn down society. We might criminal. We might criminal. We might invade your homes. We might invade your homes, but we're not assholes. No, we just want sex. We're not assholes. Right? If you don't make us, if you don't give us sex, if you don't let us invade your insides, we will criminal, and then you will have yourself only to blame. But we're not assholes. Rage, I feel, talking about this thing. I think I might actually pass out from heart disease from this. I need to calm down. I need to calm down. I need to calm down. You don't want to honor that. Let me just read it again. Let me just read it again. I need to be inside of you. I have heard, do you know how many men I have heard when asked if 5 times a day was enough? If like why 5 times a day? And they have said that's not even enough. Oh my God, Jesus Christ. They have said 5 times a day is nothing. That's not even enough. I'm telling you, their ideal life would be that you are catatonic, that you are comatose, just being a pinhole for them. That means you would have no life of your own. That is the only thing they know. They only understand that with that system, they cannot even survive because you need to feed them. Because you need to feed them. And in order for you to do that, you need to be conscious. If they could tie you to a bed and you can cook and you can clean, they would do that. They would do that. I will let us show you what he said about someone who doesn't understand that this is human nature, right? Someone like me who doesn't agree that this is human nature. I will let us show you what he wrote. What he wrote. This can only be human human nature, even as you, even as they're murdering you, even as when their old tenet, their old understanding of the entire dynamic is that you have no life, that you can be sacrificed for them, which is in the broader sense of life. The only time that ever happens is when somebody is being parasited, which means that is the only thing that it can be. They refuse to accept the mere evidence, the objective evidence of larger biology, of larger nature, that this dynamic is only present in a parasite host dynamic, in a predator prey dynamic. And this is exactly why you have them doing both, that you have fed them as both, because they are only those things. That dynamic is only present in those dynamics. This dynamic is only present in those dynamics. That is why you, independently having no data, have fed them as predators and parasites. You, having no data, have fed them as these things. They are trying to tell you that you giving your life to them is just what makes sense. It's just human biology, that you are not supposed to have a life of your own. That you are supposed to give your life for him to live, for him who produces nothing, for him who produces absolutely nothing but death. It's the one who deserves to live. BS. Then a short answer might be, because even after hearing what we've just said, women, or culture more broadly, still choose not to understand or accept it, because not giving men sex is more convenient than giving them sex, and because you need to give men sex doesn't exactly fit with your modern cultural narrative. We have taught women that it's okay not to honor that need, and we have taught men that they ought to be above that need. Note how I said ought to, because you can't lecture an entire species out of behavior that it is biologically programmed to engage in. If we could, the stock market wouldn't have bubbles anymore. He's trying to convince you that that is human nature. He's trying to convince you that that is your human nature, that you are designed to give them this sex. And everything that I looked at says, hell no. Everything that I looked at said, hell no. Everything is consistent. And nothing they say is consistent. The only thing that is consistent is the outward appearance of this thing that they're talking about. When you look underneath the surface, none of it is, it's not only just not consistent, it is consistently wrong. It is consistently in the wrong direction. If it was actually correct, there would be, it may not always point, it may not consistently point that they are correct, or that it is incorrect. It could be both. It could be a very sprinkling of both. It will be at least about both. But underneath the hood, it is consistently in the opposite direction. They tell you that you need a man in the home, and yet single mothers are thriving. Single mothers are thriving. When you have all the conditions that would help you have a child, you are thriving. And the only time you don't thrive is when you have no resources, which is the condition nobody thrives in. Which is the condition nobody thrives in. They tell you that, oh no, your child is illegitimate. Okay, so does that make them any less smart? Does that make them any less smart? Obama became president, and he came from a single mother's home. Obama is very charismatic, and he came from a single mother's home. What is it that you're saying here? They will say that he was illegitimate. Illegitimate how? He's not fully human. What? He's not fully formed. He's informed. He's sick. He's disabled. What is illegitimate about him? What is illegitimate about a human person? What is illegitimate about the formation of a human being? What is illegitimate about that? They try to tell you that your body should only be able to do the things that they allow legally. That you can only reproduce. You can only use your body when you give it to a man. You can only use your body when you give it to a man. This can only be parasitism. And any woman who tells me I am happily married, you are giving yourself to a man. You are not a whole person anymore, worthy of my respect or anyone's. You have decided that you are no longer a full human being, but you are a man's property. But that's not acceptable either for anyone who wants to have a functioning society. Men are not allowed to just not accept that women have needs. So why should women do that? Actually, that's exactly what women do. That's exactly what women. Who is stopping them from not doing that? Who is stopping men from not allowing from not doing that? Men are not allowed. Ladies, how are you stopping men from not just accepting that you have needs? How are you stopping them from doing that? How are you stopping them from doing that? I mean, they do that. That's why you leave them. They do that. They refuse to stop doing that because you can't make them. That's why you leave them. We can lecture either sex out of the behavior that is natural for it, but we can work not sex species, not sex species, but we can work our way into better relationships. No, as soon as you have a relationship with these males, it's not going to be better in any way, shape, or form. As soon as there's a relationship with these males, it will never be better. You will only get worse. There is no such thing as having too much information about the opposite sex. It's pure upside. I promise you there is. I promise you there is. Men can have too much information about women because everything they know, they use it against us. Do you understand that? They use it against us. You have seen this yourselves. You have experienced this yourselves. So there's a lot of discussion to do. Let's start the conversation over with the most basic fact we can. Human beings are animals. No, men are not humans. We have very basic needs. We are not sophisticated. Actually, humans. No. The real humans are sophisticated. The real humans are sophisticated, which is part of what the problem is. Women can see how they are better than men. Women can see how they are better than men, not because of strength or strategy, but because of what? Sophistication. Because of sophistication. We are still driven by base impulses. No, you are. Women are not. You are. And dark urges and world desires and insecurity. In fact, in the way we are even worse than animals. Yes, you are, because you have exploited our higher intelligence to be absolutely demonic. To worry about base desires and insecurity. Yeah, no, that's you. Women don't have insecurities. Insofar as we are left alone. We do not have that. We don't have base desires or insecurities. That is you. You are describing yourself as a human, and you are not. You are not human. And the reason you have these things, insecurity, is because you are not. Something about you is missing the fullness of being human. That is why you are insecure. When's the last time you saw an insecure hypothetical? Yes, that's right. Because there's something about you. Something about you is not full. You're not a full human. You only have human genes. You're not actually human. Both men and women need very simple, predictable things, but we are in most ways simple biological creatures. And as a side note, anyone who denies biology ought to be dismissed back in the children's table with the rest of us, so the rest of us can work on improving the real world. You can join the adults table when you're ready to apologize. This is what he said about people who don't agree that this is human biology. People like me who don't agree that this is human biology. What he's trying to sell you is his animal biology, as though it is yours. It is not yours, and you understand this. You did not have to be told this. You knew this before you ever came across it. You knew something was not right. Every time these males spoke, every time they opened their mouths, you knew something was wrong. You simply did not know what. You knew something was wrong. You simply did not know what. Every time they opened their mouth, you knew something was wrong. You simply did not know what was wrong. Human is required. Let's illustrate what a relationship should not be. A relationship should not be a man taking sex from his wife over and over while doing nothing for her. But that is exactly what they do. That is literally what you outlined. That is literally what you outlined. You said men need sex all the time and women have to give it to them. What if you have to give sex to men, then they don't have to do anything to earn it. They don't have to do anything to earn it. And a relationship should not be a woman. Again, they are basing it on the mere fact that they simply exist as looking with the phenotype of human, which means they are thinking that that makes them human. Which means that they can never understand the dynamic of which they're even saying, the pure demonicness of the things that they're saying. That a relationship that you're supposed to have a relationship with a parasite. That you're supposed to have a relationship with a parasite. That simply is not true. The reason women have been taking resources from men is because this parasite, because this man is a parasite. And that means that you don't have the biology of which you are designed to even want them, which means that the only thing they can do for you is money. That is the only thing you are lacking. That is the only thing your biology is lacking, the way it was designed, except for the way they altered it. Any extent that you need them is what they altered in us. Let's start to tackle what a relationship should be or could be. The wise husband knows that he must come home from work and put some energy into his wife. Really, do they? Do they? Because I've listened to women all over the globe, and they all say the same thing unilaterally. The men do not do that. The men do not do that. The men come home for sex, for food, that's it. The men come home to get energy from their wives, that's it. That is it. They did not go home to put energy into their wives. And you know what? It's not even that. There's also all these videos about men reacting to things women are doing, and every single one of them demands that every single one of them, the anything that they say, whether it's positive or negative, all inclusive of that the woman is supposed to give you something every single time, every 100% of the time, that the woman is supposed to give you something. If you go under videos where there are beautiful women, all you hear is, "Ooh, ladies, can I get your number? Can I do this? You're lovely." This something that they want from the woman. Wise husband knows he must come home from work and put some of his energy into his wife. Which husband is that? Which husband is that? Obama's wife just said, just revealed to us some years ago that her husband literally told her, I am not responsible for your happiness, which means he doesn't have to put anything into her, but she definitely has to put into him. That was a happy couple. That's a happy couple. Is that a wise man? You tell me. Whatever the case may be, not all wives or girlfriends need the same things, but whatever she does need, it's his job to provide it, to trade his attention and energy directly for her happiness, for her to feel heard and loved and attended to. Who is he talking to here? Who exactly is he talking to? Because I have never heard of a man doing this. Oh, this makes women sound like simpletons, like machines that can be controlled with a few inputs. And the only reason he would think like that exactly is because what? They are not human. Because if you have to do something for another species, it feels calculated. Because you have no feelings towards them. The feelings that were designed in you for you to have for your species does not exist in them. That is the only reason why he would think this is a simpleton. That's the only reason why he would think this is simpleton. This is literal human biology that he described here, and then he boiled it down into simpletonism. This is insane. I'll be right back. His own mouth. From his own mouth. Or should I say fingers? He he thinks men believe that doing this, putting back into your wife, is simpleton. Is simpletonism. Again, if they were human, they would not think this. They think human biology is ridiculous. They think human biology is an abomination. They think human biology is unnatural nonsense. Humans would not think this way. Putting back into your wife is simpletonism. From his own mouth. I didn't make him say this. I didn't make him write this. He thinks giving back to his wife is simpletonism. I mean, or at least he believes some men think like this. But then those are the same men. He says, "Oh no, they're not assholes. They're not assholes. These men are not assholes. But this is what they think. This is what they think." Unless they're using you, unless they're pumping you for sex, anything that happens is simpletonism. Anything that happens is simpletonism unless they are pumping you for sex, which goes back to exactly what I said. They want to use you for sex 24/7. They want you to sacrifice their life for them while they murder everything that walks. They think the murderers are the ones who deserve to live. How can you not have a decaying society with this kind of thought process? Who are the ones who make humans? And you are the ones who must sacrifice your life for the ones who don't make humans. Do you understand the only possible thing that could occur in that? The only possible thing that could occur is that the human race is going to extinct. That is an extinction formula. The ones who don't produce anything are the ones who are getting saved. That is an extinction formula. That is inevitable extinction. If you think it's not possible, just because we have 8 billion people on the planet, it is very, very, very possible. These are the people who told you that you're supposed to vary your genes so that you could live. And they also, on the other hand, tell you you must sacrifice yourself for them who don't produce any humans. Listen to that. Listen to this. You must sacrifice yourself, but you also need them to vary your genes so that you're not killed by infectious organisms. Listen to this. Listen to that. Both of those things are achieving the very same thing, proving why you need them, proving why they should be allowed to live, justifying their existence. This is why both of them are hurting us. This is why neither one makes sense. This is why no matter how much you flip it, turn it upside down, it will always cause the death of women. It will always cause the death of females, but never, ever, ever the death of males. They are causing their own. They are causing their own. They are the ones who are self-immolating. Now, this makes women sound like simpletons, like machines that can be controlled. Like machines. Like machines. I didn't even read that. Like machines, because that's what they are. Because they don't have life. They can only be that. And that's also sensitive. If you've been paying attention, part of the whole theme here is we're all like that to some extent. We're creatures with very simple drives and needs. And for some reason, when it comes to men and women together, we try to outsmart the base level behaviors. Yes, the for some reason it's because we're not the same species, which means that there is two species in one, which means there is an interspecies competition. What we're experiencing is interspecies competition, not gender war, interspecies war, interspecies competition. This part is natural. This interspecies competition is natural. This is what you see out there when lions prey on deer, when they prey on warthogs. This is the interspecies competition. Who's going to win today? Does the lion get to eat or does the warthog get to live? That is the interspecies competition. They brought it in here by pretending to be us. This is the only thing that is actually gotten right, biological. This is how biology is supposed to work. And it doesn't matter how much you flip it upside down, you're going to always produce this dynamic because this is what is designed into every organism. This interspecies competition is designed into every organism. You're going to have this very dynamic with your predator. And this particular species that they are is a predator to every organism. For some reason. The reason being that you're not human and you need to get the fuck out of our society. What do you do when a child starts getting angsty? You know he wants a bottle or a favorite toy, or he wants you to pick him up and play with him. You don't call him a selfish, needy piece of shit. You don't criticize him for having it. That's okay. Listen to that. Listen to that. They want you to treat them like children. They want you to treat them like children so that you can feel like they are your family instead of an adult male, instead of an adult person who should be self-sustaining. Oh my God, this is just, oh my goodness, I can't stand this. You don't treat an adult person like this. What do you do when a child starts getting angsty? You know he wants his bottle or a favorite toy, or he wants you to pick him up and play with him. You don't describe an adult like this. You don't call him a selfish, needy piece of shit. You don't criticize him for having needs and for relying on you to fulfill those needs. And you don't shout at him, my God, all you ever want is to do is get attention. They want you to treat them like children because that is the only way they can get away. They can get away with what they want. That is the only way they can get away with what they want. As long as you see them as fully functioning adult humans, exactly like you're supposed to, you would expect adult human things for them. You would not want to baby them. You would not want to give them the things they want you to unilaterally give them. Because a baby doesn't give you anything back except love, except feelings. You are supposed to give everything to the baby. This is exactly what they want. That is why they have to imitate the baby. They're basically using every evidence possible to prove that this is exactly how it's supposed to be. They are an adult woman. The other evidence is that they are an adult person. They are an adult person. An adult person is not supposed to be reliant on another adult, except when it is mutually fulfilling. His mother, yeah, that you can go find your own mother so that she can do that for you. You laugh it up easy and say, I know what he needs. I know what he needs. And you pick him up and do whatever the thing is, and you enjoy the moment of bonding. Sex can be that way too. What did I say? I told you they wanted to be like babies. But you already knew. I didn't need to tell you this. Sex can be that way too. Not when you want it 10 times a day. Sex cannot be that way when you want it 10 times a day and a woman still needs to reproduce. Sex cannot be that way when you want it 10 times a day and a woman still needs to reproduce, still needs to cook, needs to do actual life. It cannot be that way. Sex is a burden. Sex can only be a burden. And second attentiveness or listening or having a spontaneous conversation. I mean, ladies, you have tried it for literal decades. You tell me, is this possible? Because I actually have not done this with a man. I actually have not done this with a man. I have literally kicked these things to the side as soon as they show me any amount, any modicum of inconvenience. So you tell me, ladies, you have done it for decades. You have put up with it for decades. I have not. You tell me how. You tell me if this is normal. If you haven't done this, if you felt human doing it, did you feel human doing this? Did you feel like this was human biology? Or did you feel like you had a parasite on your back? Did you feel like you had a parasite on your back and you needed to get the heck out of it? These are very basic, straightforward behaviors which compound into good or bad relationships. For some reason, when it comes to men and women, we think we're above this. We think we're above being children with basic needs, and think, yes, actually, you are. You are, in fact, above children with basic needs. You are, in fact, above children with basic needs. The reason humans mature, the reason it's not even humans, every organism matures. Every organism matures so that you stop needing those things that hold you back, so that you stop relying on another organism. This is what maturity is about. Because if you have to be dependent on another organism, that organism is not free. That organism is not a unit of life. The entire point of an organism is that it is a unit of life. That means it does not need to have anything attached to it, and it doesn't need to be attached to anything. That is basic biology. That is universal biology. And it isn't just human biology, it is every living thing. And it's even more basic than the nonsense that he's saying. Yes, you are, in fact, above being children with basic needs. Your needs as an adult is not this. Your needs as an adult is just water, some love, air, food. That's what you need. Housing. Not to be held. Not to be held and cuddled like a child. And therefore, we think women should be above something as brutal as needing sex. Yes, needing sex is in fact brutal. Yeah. I don't think he meant to say it that way. I think he meant to say that the idea of men needing sex is brutal. That we think that the idea of men needing sex is brutal. But the truth is, we're not. The same way women are not above having us having, are not above asking us things like, if I want a rusty paperclip, would you? If I was a rusty paperclip, would you still love me? Who asked this? Who asked this? Actually, I do know the women who ask this. It's the women who have been ill, who are they've told they're supposed to need a man, and they can clearly see that the man does not love them, and so they keep trying to seek that love. Whereas in a woman, if you are in a community of women, you would not need to wonder if you are loved. You would not need to wonder if you were loved, because you will see that every day. You will see that love every day. These are the kinds of things our biology pushes us to want. Our own individual sense of validation and commitment. And it usually comes through the most hilarious simple acts you can think of. I can't nail down the source of the quote in the following sentence. As someone said, life is a tragedy for those who feel and a comedy for those who think. As a couple, yeah, clearly a man said that. As a couple, you can do one of two things. As a couple, you can do one of two things. You can spend your whole relationship laughing at how predictable you both are, or you can spend your whole relationship being offended by your partner's. Those are your two options. Okay, what about not having a relationship at all? What about not being coupled up? Exactly like every organism is designed. Because the reason your heart is inside your body and your lungs are inside your body and all these other things are working independently is precisely because you are an independent organism. How about that option? How come that is not an option? How come being an independent organism is not an option for you? How come not being in a relationship not an option? How come? Because he needs sex, because he needs an attachment. So therefore, it doesn't occur to him that women don't want this. It doesn't occur to him that women do not want this. The idea that you must have a relationship is a falsehood that only is based on their parasitic biology. That parasitism being that they need a host in order to have their own procreation. They need an attachment. But they're not the ones doing the procreation. They're making the host procreate for them. And that is what the sex is duplicating. That is what the sex is duplicating. That is why it needs to be 24/7. That is why they need 24/7 attention. That is why they will attach to an infant as much as anything. That is why they will do a sex. That is why they will do a dead body. Because they're supposed to simply attach to a host. This is not a human thing. Honoring basic needs happened. If you're a man and you didn't want to spend a portion of your life looking after your wife's most basic needs, I'll ask why in the hell you got married in the first place. And I'll ask the same of women. So now, why is it so hard to publicly say, give your husband sex? Because he wants it 24/7. Because he wants it not 5 times a day, he wants it 7, 10 times a day. Why is it such a shameful, controversial thing to say that men is a because you have literally said that men want women to submit to them. Men want women to diminish themselves in order to get the sex. That the cost of being with a man is that you are diminished. And that the woman they're married to ought to provide. No. You are not ought to provide anything with anyone access into your insides. You are not to provide anyone anything access to your insides. That is not anyone's design. That is not any organism's design. Ought to provide nonsense, demonic nonsense. I have seen several times now conversations on podcasts where men almost said out loud. I have seen several times now conversations on podcasts where men almost said this out loud, but we're all terrified to say it. We're all terrified to say the words, men need to give men sex. Women need to give men sex. No, you need to get the F out of the human species. That's what you need to do. That is what you need to do. You need to find your way down to hell where you came from. That is what you need to do. Women don't need to give you anything sex. Women don't need to give you sex or anything. No. We don't even need to look at you. We don't even need to look at you. No. No. They're telling you They are telling you that because they desperately want the sex, you must give it to them. There is zero evidence outside of that they want it, to back up that they're supposed to get it. This is like basically saying, I want the sky to be purple, and then therefore the sky needs to be purple. There is zero objective facts that this is even true. There is zero objective fact, and that is the reason why it is singularly one-sided. That is the reason why it is one-sided. Because this is not actual human biology. Because if you knew that you needed to give them sex, you would know this. You would know this before you ever have children. Something inside of you drives you to want them. Be right back. Oh God, I think I'm getting sick. Something inside of you drove you to want kids. Not something the man said. That too, they said it a lot too. That drove you to want kids. But there's also something inside of you that wants you to have kids. And the idea that women need to give men sex. I mean, you have to understand the audacity to say, to demand that you should have access to somebody's insides. That's like saying women need to give men kidneys. Fucking demonic. Why do we have to be so terrified to say such an obvious thing out loud? You should be terrified. You know, if you're not terrified enough, we need to make you more terrified. We need to make you more terrified because we don't want your disgusting sex. I mean, listen to that. Listen to that. Listen to this guy who is trying to be reasonable. He's actually trying to talk about this as though he's a reasonable person. Listen to him. Women need to give men sex. Women need to give men sex. You need to let him inside your body. You must let him inside your body. Why should I be afraid to ask for your kidneys? Why should I be afraid to ask for your kidneys? Why should I be afraid to ask you for your heart? You need to give me your heart. You need to give me a piece of your lungs. You need to give me a piece of liver. Why should I be terrified of asking you for that? Why do we have to be so terrified to say something and just think out loud, especially when we are so willing to say out loud how many needs and desires women are allowed to have? So now it's a competition. Without any objective basis, huh? Without any objective basis, right? Imagine saying that, saying, well, no, the mothers of society, saying, well, if you can talk about how much you want to be in a romantic movie, how you want a romance, how come I can't talk about I want to murder somebody? This is the nonsense that this male thing is normal. We're willing to tell women they should have whatever they want in life, and that any man standing in the way of that is a problem. And yet we can't lean toward those same women and whisper, you should probably have sex with your husband He looks antsy. Listen to this. This is only a parasitic organism can think of this. Can think of this. This idea that he deserves, that he is entitled to your body, that you not allowing him to think that is offensive. You've heard the saying, women need to feel loved to have sex. Men need to have sex to feel loved. And even if that's not literally true, it illustrates how relationship unfortunately I'm sorry. Work through the confounding pain of catch-22. All it takes for a relationship to work is for both people to contribute to the feedback loop. And all it takes for it to fall apart is for one of them to stop. Even if it's not literally true. I'm sorry, is it true or is it not? Which is it? Because literally true is also means that it is true. So why would you use it if it's not true at all? Even if it's not, even if that is not literally true. Listen to this. He is suggesting now that they never needed sex to feel loved. That sex was not about them feeling loved. It's just sex. It's because they're getting something else from it. If that's not literally true. Even if that's not literally true. Jesus Christ, this is unbelievable. Oh my God, I can't stand these creatures. I must have access inside of you. Who are you to tell me no? Give your husband sex. Isn't it called to let yourself be enslaved? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Or to let someone unworthy have total authority. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because you all say this one thing. You all say all men deserve love. Which means it doesn't matter what they look like. It doesn't matter their height. It doesn't matter their income. It doesn't matter their character. You say all men deserve love. You don't say all people deserve love. You say all men deserve love. You say everyone deserves it, but what you actually mean is that men. That is what you say. I have literally studied your language. You mean men only deserve love. You have never, ever, ever, under a woman who supposedly is not worthy by your standards, getting love, ever, ever, ever appreciated that. That is exactly what you mean. That is exactly what you mean. That's exactly what you are saying. With someone worthy of you, you've got bigger problems. Well, if you're telling men that they deserve love, what are they going to do when a woman doesn't give it to them? Besides kidnap her, besides force himself on her, besides kill her, what the hell else are they gonna do? They're gonna let a feeble female deny them of their right to a woman? Stop! He doesn't even know his own species. Don't you let a feeble female deny them what they deserve? If you're in a loving relationship, here's what your husband needs to relish and revel in getting to enjoy your body. Oh my God, that disgusted me. I didn't even know what I was reading. Did you wretch? Oh my God. Jesus Christ. I wasn't prepared for that visual. God help me. I wasn't prepared for that visual. But if you're in a loving relationship, here's what your husband needs to relish and revel in getting to enjoy your body. Oh, that is disgusting. That is disgusting. To enjoy somebody's body like a freaking parasite. Your squishiness and softness are his kingdom of heaven. For men, that isn't a single, for men, there isn't a single other stronger thing you can do than give him access to sex. I told you, the entire thing is about sex. And this is not, it is not in something so human as it's trying to make it. It is not in something so sacred as it's trying to make it. You are giving a parasite organism access to your body for you to become its host for those minutes of the sex. That is what you are doing. This is disgusting. To voluntarily offer it to him and to be happy in doing so. To voluntarily offer your kidney and to be happy in doing so. That is the standard now. It's no longer that they want sex. It's no longer that they need sex. You must now offer him. You must now offer yourself to him. Right? And they're going to continue to use all these kinds of language because there is no amount of brainwash they're not capable of. They have convinced women so long that we were supposed to sacrifice ourselves for them. That women are literally teaching their daughters that that is what you're supposed to do. That we are just now uncovering this mess. That you are a living organism whose entire biology's purpose is to help you live and to live your best life. If you're supposed to sacrifice. You're supposed to willingly accept sacrificing. You're supposed to willingly accept sacrificing for something that is below you, something that is beneath you, something that cannot even make one of you, something that needed you to come through this world, something that you have to make. You are supposed to sacrifice. You're supposed to sacrifice yourself for it. But it needs you alive to make itself. There is no amount of brainwash that will not do. You now have to voluntarily offer it to him. And that is not going to be the end of it. They're going to now want you to take it to every other man. They're now going to want you to voluntarily sleep with other men so that you can get him off. If that is what gets him off, yeah, do that too. It doesn't matter how much it takes. He would now, again, he would now want you to sleep with a horse. If that is what helps him. There is no amount of brainwash they're not capable of. This is pure brainwash. And be happy in doing so. They have to make you believe this thing that they are human. They have to make you believe that they are human because all of these things is dependent on that. Because you are a human being and you are fair to humans. You are a human being and therefore you are within you is a design to be fair to humans, but not a design to be fair to anything else. That is why they have to pretend they are human. Nothing more depressing than to select the lazy just to shut him up, hand job. There's the saddest, that's the saddest and most pathetic way to try to keep a man happy. You're not letting him relish in it. You're making him feel pathetic. Most of the conversation about sex from the men themselves has been, oh, he don't even has been that, oh no, he deserves it. Only he deserves, to like it. That is already universal. That is already universally established. You're making him feel pathetic, like some sort of beggar, and then like a man who just got up to some horrible obscure kink on Pornhub, he now has to sit in the shame and filth of his self-demeaning orgasm. The tragic aftermath of a sexual release that wasn't good enough for him. This is how men lose themselves when sex is turned into a shameful cycle instead of an act of love. If you teach a man to hate himself for needing sex, at first he will probably resent you, but eventually he will actually hate himself. Not only You are supposed to hate yourself. You're a fucking demon. You are a freaking demon. You are supposed to hate yourself. Not only for needing sex from someone who doesn't want to give it to him, but for letting that happen in the first place. Yeah, that's not true. Otherwise, why would there be sexual assault? Why would there be sexual assault in the first place? Why would there be sexual assault in the first place? Otherwise, he's actually telling us that yeah, it's better if he sexually assaults you, but not if you give him pity sex. Nonsense. A man would feel better about himself if he was able to walk away from such a relationship and say, well then, to hell with you. Then why would you want to do this with a 9-year-old and an infant? Why would you want to do this with underage girls? Why would a 12-year-old boy gang raping? Answer me those questions. And why would you want to do it with males, with other males? Why? A man would feel better about himself if he was able to walk away from such a relationship and say, well, then, to hell with you, I've got other options. I've got other women who will see it as a pleasure to sleep with me. But most men are not so lucky, partially because the needs have been demonized everywhere, and partially because most men have become so too weak to earn their options, to earn other options in the first place. That's actually not true. That is actually not true, because there was a time when women were not able to get away from this man, and what the men did was abject savagery. What the men did was savagery. There's nothing sacred about this shit. Let's check something real quick. Most men are not so lucky. Partially because their needs have been demonized everywhere, and partially because most men have become too weak to earn other options in the first place. Tell me, then please enlighten me why they keep seeking violence against women. Explain that to us. Because the reason women would demonize this is because it is demonic behavior. Why would they be seeking violent sex? Why would they be seeking violence against women? Because that is why we demonize it, as we should. Anything that hurts other people is demonic. So when a man loses the sex, that is literally the love. That is literally the love. It's not the love. It is not love. This guy is lying. It is not love. Because look at the pattern of behavior. Look at the pattern of behavior. Have you actually heard how men talk about women behind their backs? Have you heard it? Ain't no love with these things. These things are not capable of any love. It's not just that there is no love between men and women. They're simply not capable of love. They are pure, abject demons. Are parasite masquerading in another species. There's no love in these creatures. So when a man loses the sex, that is literally the love in his marriage, he is utterly defeated as a man. He is without the thing he needs most. The key to avoiding all this, if you do love him, is to give a man access to sex and make him feel like you're glad to do so. Ideally, and if he's doing his job, you actually are glad to do so. Oh, that is so funny. Okay, let's remember, if you're a woman and you want your husband to have conversations with you or do things with you, you don't want him to throw his hands up and shout, Jesus Christ, this again. You're still bitching about that same co-worker. When is this going to stop? Okay, fine, I'll listen. Fuck, but hurry. Okay, now conversation. Now conversation is the same thing as going inside somebody. Now conversation is the same thing as invading the inside of somebody. That wouldn't make you feel very attentive to, would it? As Jennifer Aniston said to Vin Vaughn in the breakup, I want you to want to do the dishes. I want you to want to do the dishes. Now, let me also point out what should be obvious to any reasonable person. Neither a husband nor a wife should be completely encumbered by their partner's needs. If a partner wants sex 4 times a day, or serious conversation 4 times a day, or a leg rub 4 times a day, but you have other things to do, then he needs to control himself to make up the difference. And the same would be true in reverse. Oh, now he's actually saying that, but that's not actually how that's going to play out. That's not actually how that is going to play out. What men are going to take from this is, I deserve sex. You should want to have sex with me. You should voluntarily give sex to me. And if you don't, if you're too busy, oh no, then I should take it from you. Because why would you deny me what I deserve? Because I deserve it, therefore you cannot deny me. Because therefore you, a feeble woman, cannot deny me it. This is why they will hurt you, whether intentionally or unintentionally, deliberately or undeliberately. In between basic needs and perfectly ideal cooperation are two forces: communication and self-control. Really? Really? Because males have no self-control. Because males have poor communication and lack of self-control. So what are you talking about? If we're to actually apply this, none of you will get anything because you all grotesquely lacking in communication. Listen to you. All you've done here today is describe your situation as a human thing when it is in fact not a human thing. Insofar as it keeps hurting women, insofar as it keeps removing women's independence. That is not human. That is not any organism. You communicate to fine tune where you're at between these two places. You communicate to move the needle up and down according to each of your capabilities and needs. Sometimes your husband is too busy to fulfill his wife's needs as much as she let, and sometimes your wife is too busy, and whatever needs and capabilities are out of alignment, and whatever needs and capabilities are out of alignment, you make up the difference with self-control, with patience, with the ability to actually support and engage with your partner in the meantime. Anyway, yeah, if this was happening on a large scale, we wouldn't be here. If this was happening, if this was possible on a large scale, we would not be here. What he's describing here are human behaviors, and these males are not human, which means he wants you to engage with them on the basis that they're human when they cannot behave human. Men cannot do this because they do not have access to the tools to do this behavior. They may be able to do everything else, but there are fine-tuned things about humans that men cannot do. Man has to go a week, a month, or even 3 weeks without sex. Well, tough enough. Sometimes life is like that. Listen to this. Listen to this. The reason he's having to even say this is because men like it every day, and even 2 days is too long. 3 days is too long. I have heard men say 3 days was too long. When you have to have a child, listen to me. They tell you that the reason you're supposed to have a baby with them is because it's because of the sex thing. It's because effectual reproduction, right? But then when you are pregnant, they can't even go 3 days without sex. But you have to be bloated up to the wazoo with a baby. And then you have to have a difficult birth of which you are screaming at the top of your lungs. And then you have to have like a wound, a baby-sized wound inside of you. And then even at the time, at the delivery table, he's still wanting sex. That is what they call, that is what they're telling you is how your biology, the one that designed your heart, your lungs, your muscles, your eyes, and everything else that works perfectly fine, that works perfectly well all the time, 24/7 a day. That biology, that design, those things is telling you is what they're telling you design this dynamic. That they cannot stop for 3 days. They can barely even stop for one. So many wives have said when they reject a man just one time, he makes their life miserable. Just one time, he makes their lives miserable. That's what they want you. That's what they want you to think is normal. There's nothing normal about these males, and it is time that we stop acting like it is. I expect them to act like they are normal, but women need to wake up and realize that they are not. Because it is dependent. Their survival is dependent on this, but not yours. You need to wake up and realize this is not normal. And whatever, you can't always be in the Garden of Eden where both of your needs are perfectly met, but you can certainly do a lot better than Jesus Christ. This again, your husband's attention, even if he's not the most impressive guy in the world, means something. It's your home. It's what supports you. Most women like a strong, protective, decisive man, so they can live underneath that umbrella. You know, the umbrella means that he owns you. Because I'm sorry, the only time he even lets you have the umbrella is when he does in fact own you. Do you understand that? Do you understand that the two are not the two are not inseparable? Excuse me, the two are inseparable. The two are not separable because the only time he lets you have that umbrella is when he already owns you to begin with. So when you think what you're getting is protection, you're actually getting demonism. You're actually getting property and ownership. You are being the slave. The only time a man gives you this, the only time he bothers to give you this is when he owns you. This so-called coverture is when you are owned as property. And that is exactly what he is talking about here. And you see that how he used that so casually. You see how he used that so casually. Which shows that he's exactly the same type of man. As a trying to pretend that he's not. God, this male's just sicking me. They make me so sick. And they like when, and they like when underneath that umbrella, he also listens and plays and attends. It's safety, it's love. No, sweetie, it's not love. It's not love, and neither is it safety. It's safety from you being taken by another male who is going to enjoy your goods. It is his food being taken. He is preventing other males from taking his food. He's not protecting you. And your body, that's his umbrella. That's disgusting. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's his happiness. It's not just fun. It's not just playtime. It's his, oh, it's his home. What did I say? They are duplicating the 24/7 parasite host dynamic. They are trying to duplicate the parasite host 24/7 dynamic. As a parasite, he is supposed to enter a host as his home. But our biology prevents that. Our biology prevents that. And so they came up with the penis that then has to invade your insides as though he is inside you. That's why he needs it frequently, because one time is not enough. is not enough. This article is quite long. Your body is his home. Oh my God, Jesus Christ. It's where he finds his value as a man. Yeah, as a parasite. As a parasite. You understand the value of a parasite is how quickly it can attack another host. It can attack another organism. He's describing exactly that. Because a human being, a human person, this is not their value. Because a human person is designed to be independent. Designed to be independent, so their value cannot be based on, be inside anyone. This is disgusting. Your body is the place where he goes to get his reward for all the efforts he puts into being masculine and strong and decisive and protective. Your body is his reward. Your body is the fountain he drinks from. He's describing parasitism here. He's describing parasitism here. Because the only reason anybody's body could be your reward, the fountain, is that you are a parasite. That is the only dynamic possible. So when a woman gets her man willing and happy access, it makes him feel love, and then he cheats. It makes him feel love, and then he cheats because he. And then he cheats. Someone like Freud might even call it motherly. I told you, they wanted you to treat them like they're your baby. How is your partner supposed to also be your mother? Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Oh, Jesus Christ. The reason it has to be motherly is, again, the sacrifice for him, because he has to use you enough that he is threatening your life. He is threatening to your life so that you cannot have a life. His entire point, his entire purpose is not to be a lone organism, but to attach to you. And if he leaves you to feel free and independent and all that stuff so much, he doesn't get to use you up enough. That means he is not parasitizing you. They're trying to sell that to you. They're trying to sell that to you by using the terms of the things that you are already designed for, which is they are exploiting our nature as mothers. Because this is how we were designed to treat our children. So they're trying to entreat you by using this mother nonsense. You are not supposed to mother a grown adult. And this is yet again a universal concept. Once an organism grows up, it cannot be mothered. Eve needs to mother. Keeps its masculinity feedback loop going. Yes, it keeps its parasitism going. Keeps its parasitism going. So when a woman gives a man, the happiest and wisest couples I know are able to balance the brutal truth of being creatures with the flowery theatrics of being humans. I'll be right back. happiest and wisest couples I know are able to balance the brutal truth of being creatures with the flowery theatrics of being humans. Okay, how many? How many do you know? How many do you know? How many of them do you know? 10, 100, 1,000, 500, 50,000? Do you know 50,000 couples? Do you know 50,000 couples? How many of them do you know? There was a data that I read about 2, 3, 4 years ago about what percentage of people are actually happy in their marriages. Do you know what it was? 35% men and 15% women. Marriage is failing on a large scale because it was never natural. Here's the thing. If you took that same data and you applied it to back when, to way back when, to whenever, that would have been even worse. It would have been even worse. What they want you to believe that marriage is a human behavior, it is not human behavior. It has it has never, ever succeeded on a large scale. It has never, ever succeeded on a large scale. The happiest and wisest couples I know are able to balance the. So the thing is that even the ones who are happy, who at the time the data was taken, the survey was done, that changes. Do you know what changes about that? Is women finding out their husbands are cheating, their husband dies, and there's no, the life insurance went to somebody else. They didn't know there is another child, there's a whole other family, all kinds of things that their husband had been poisoning them the whole time. Giselle Pellicot from France. Remember that woman? She thought she had a happy marriage before the police came knocking on her door to tell her that your husband had been abusing you for a better part of 10 years. He's been sexually abusing you, sexually trafficking you, and drugging you to get it done. Your happy marriage never was real. Your happy marriage was never real. You were just deluded, and he deluded you by wearing a mask. Your happy marriage was never real. So how then can he say happiest, wisest couples? How come? Maybe those guys are putting on a mask. How does he know they're not putting on masks? Every day, women come online to tell us how they thought they were happy. They did everything. They did all these things, and the man still failed it. They did all these things, and it still didn't work. And the percentage of them that do that is far more than the ones who claim that they are actually happy. The percentage of women who are coming online saying that these things happen is more than the ones who are saying they're happy. And no, it's not because the women who are happy are not saying it. No. It's because there is objectively far less of them. Because there is objectively far less of them. I have gone everywhere seeking these same women. I've gone to these ones who are like, they love their marriages. The percentage of them is little. The percentage of them is little. It isn't just that we're hearing we're only hearing all the ones who are bad, and therefore it seems like there's more of them. No. It's objectively very little of them. But they would try to convince you. What they would try to win the argument is that they don't have to say no. There are millions of them. Millions based on what? Millions based on what percentage? What percentage of them are you considering millions? Let's say millions of 150 million couples is what? Let's say 1% of couples are happy. 150 million. That is still 1.5 million. And that is only 1%. You try to tell me that 1% is supposed to school the entire. It's supposed to determine what is normal. It's supposed to tell us what the general behavior is. 1%. It's supposed to tell us what the general behavior is. That is 1.5 million couples. This is couples, not males or females. Couples. 150 million couples. Okay, there's a possibility that there are 150 million couples. 1% of that would be what? 1.5 million. So if we were to take the actual numbers of what the coupling are out there, or the coupling has ever been in any point in time, and then we say how many of them were actually happy, how many of them actually made it through to the end, how many of them wasn't something was discovered about the man some decades later, which was he was never actually good, and it wasn't about that he was trying to like defend himself. He was trying to do this, he was trying to do that. He was just objectively engaging in bad behavior. And the reason we have to keep talking about this is because it's the male doing it, and they will swear it's not the male. I literally did a video today that says that the women are the ones doing it more. That the women are the ones doing this behavior more. But have you ever heard of a woman drugging a man and then inviting women to come and rape him? You ever heard of that? But that is what Giselle Pellico put onto the world. That is what police told Giselle Pellico that her husband was doing to her. Some wisest couples. How many of them do you know? How many of them do you know? And let's comb through their lives. Let's find them and comb through their entire lives, and let's make sure that the man isn't engaging in some nonsense. That's when I'll believe you that yes, this is actually true. Let's comb through each and every one of their lives and make sure that the man is not engaging in some kind of subterfuge, which means that his damn, good guy behavior is just a mask. Good relationships are positive sum. No, they're not. No, they're not. Anyone familiar with my work probably knows how I look at relationships. They're like adopting someone. Yeah, you're adopting a baby. So you're adopting somebody else's adult baby. You are adopting somebody else's adopted baby. I have no doubt. I have no surprise that he would think of it like that. If you look at the man, if you look from the man's point of view, he's not adopting something. He's not adopting something. He has been adopted. From the man's point of view, he has been adopted. It is from the woman's point of view. From the woman's point of view, right? From the woman's point of view, she's adopting. You don't have to be the best friends. You don't have to do everything together, but what you do have to do is take care of each other. Take complete and utter responsibility for each other until death fucks it up. That's crazy. It's literally insane. That's literally insane. Because what they're doing is they would like to get 9-year-olds into that till death fucks it up nonsense. 9 years old who can't tell a grown man, no, I don't want sex today. No, 5 times is enough. Which means that they will be doing it 10 times. She will barely be able to get out from the bed. This is what they're telling you is normal. Women in modern society have been coached and bullied into doing it to sterilize themselves. Oh no, we have not even begun to do that. To make fewer of their needs known and to be terrified of what will happen if they do make their needs known. No, we want you to not be here anymore. We want you gone. To think of themselves as the villains in the story of women. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. You are unilaterally the only villains around. Young men in particular feel like they have two options: be timid, good for nothing, or be overbearing, toxically masculine assholes. We literally offered you the other option to just be a normal human. You are the ones who keep rejecting it. We have literally been trying to do that for decades, and now you guys are finally coming online to tell us that no, we messed you up by trying to do that. That it was better that we leave you to be your toxically masculine assholes that you are. But another sex needs to be put down for the other to thrive. Well, you tell your boys that. You tell your boys that. Because the reason women are in this is because they have been put down. The goal should be for men to become better and stronger, and for women to try harder to keep up with their needs. Why do I think that? This guy is delusional at best. If you make men better and stronger, you will eventually oppress women, period. Why? Because it is what men do with the power that they have, with the strength that they have. That is what men choose to do with it. That is the only thing men choose to do with it. So, the number one thing. Because I also think the opposite is true. Women should be dynamic and have tons of different interests as if they want to, and have careers if they choose. And men should try their damnedest to play the best support role for those things that they possibly can. He doesn't understand what parasitism. He doesn't understand that what he described is purely parasitic, which means in order for you to achieve that, they cannot actually thrive. Women cannot actually thrive. Women cannot actually thrive. Because what are you doing for them otherwise? Because when they thrive, what are you doing for them otherwise? In the thriving, they know that they are endowed with everything they could ever need. So what would you do for them? And the reason you know that you are endowed with everything you could ever need is because you never really needed men, because this was never a human dynamic. This was something that they imposed upon us. This isn't a zero-sum game. A zero-sum game. It is. It is. Good relationships don't work by taking from one person and driving and delivering to the other one and delivering to the other. Yeah, I agree, but this is not a relationship though. This is a parasitism. That is not a relationship. Which is why people who act like men asking for sex is inherently a bad thing, fundamentally misunderstanding relationships and men and life. No. Nope. This is not life. This is not a thing about life. The reason single women can thrive, the reason single women can thrive because they don't have a man in the picture is because it is not in fact life. This is not in fact life. This is the men imposing their life on females. This is parasitism. This is not life. Ladies, the thing that you know that is normal is something that doesn't hurt you when you do it. It's something that doesn't hurt you when you do it. When you are with a man, if it hurts you, that's because it's not normal. When you have sex with a man, if it hurts you, that's because it's not normal. When it inconveniences you, that's when it's not normal. Okay? The time that you are with a man and you felt like you're going to die, and you felt oppressed, that's because it's not normal. A great relationship meets both partners' needs without either partner being oppressed or taken for granted, and elevates both partners to higher levels of prosperity and health. It's positive sum. But what he described was parasitism of the woman by the man. What he described was parasitism of the woman by the man. That is not a positive sum. That is not a positive sum. That is a zero sum. So if someone tells you, make sure you don't give your man or woman too much, what they're really telling you is, don't build a great relationship. That is not true. You can build a great relationship with your kids, build a great relationship with your mother, build a great relationship with your sisters. And if you read betwixt the lines, the subtext here, there is often because I want you to be just as miserable as I am. Oh, goodness gracious. What even is this? I wonder where is this part coming from? Like this idea that women only want other women to behave, that women only want other women to be free because they want women to be miserable. Where is this coming from? I'll be right back. I suspect it's coming from the fact that men would prefer for women to be miserable without them. I think that is where he's coming from, because I think he's trying to make sense of what he is seeing from his own perspective, but he only has his perspective to understand, right? He only has what his brain, what is designed into his brain to help him understand what's going on. And he cannot understand the female perspective, which is that we can give to each other without expecting anything back. He doesn't get that. I have witnessed jealousy in women in many places. I have witnessed jealousy in women in many places. Many places, not in real life, in plays. I have never seen it in real life. And every single time they put that jealousy into place, it is about a man. Do you understand what I'm telling you? It has been about a man, which means, which suggests to me, not that it proves it, that it is likely they are the source of women's jealousy, which is what they are. This is the nonsense that they are fomenting, which is why he thinks this is normal, because their brain works in a way that foments this, so it thinks that this is a natural dynamic between women. Supposedly, I am jealous. I want women to be miserable as me, and yes, I am not miserable. Supposedly, I want women to be just as miserable as I am. Really? Then why is it that I'm focusing on saving your lives? Why aren't I telling you to stop working? Why aren't I telling you to stop working, to stop working, to not have kids? Why do I tell women you can have kids without a man? Do what you need to do to have kids without a man. Do what you need to do to have kids by having kids with a man that is not easily accessible, that can't easily access you. Go to another country, go to another city, go to another state. Do that and don't have a male. I don't know where this is really coming from. I really don't. It's just such a weird thing. Men want other women to be miserable? Have you ever heard of that? I have never heard of that. I have never ever heard of that. And the only place it keeps coming from is from men. And it comes from women who are no doubt with men, who let us know that they are attached to men. It comes constantly from those women. Oh no, you must just be jealous. You must just be jealous because that's what the men tell them. I have never ever heard of this dynamic from women who are not this pick-me's. Other women want you to be miserable, really? saying. Someone doesn't, as if, as is often the case with people who give terrible advice. What? Actually, sometimes I don't even know what to say to that. I don't even know what to say to this. The subtext here is that I want you to be just as miserable as me. Who does that? Who does that? You have to understand how desperately evil these males are to think that this is how somebody would behave. To think that this is normal behavior. I want you to be just as miserable as me. There is no human in these males. I want you to be just as miserable as me. You know, do you know that the reason women work so hard for their kids is to give their kids the chance to have a better life than them? Do you even understand that? Why then would you think that the basic nature of women is to see other people miserable? This is the basic nature of males. Disgusting. If someone doesn't have a great relationship, for God's sakes, just don't listen to them. And what I can tell you, it's true. If you want a great relationship, please don't listen to me, because I will tell you the opposite. I will tell you the opposite of what is going to get you a great relationship. I would tell you the opposite, because I think even a great relationship, I don't think great relationships exist at all. They are a lie. I don't think they exist at all. The males are lying. Somewhere deep in them are a bunch of lies thrown together. I don't think those exist at all. There are a bunch of lies. Any woman who tells me, you know, my father was great. Have you actually asked your father questions about his youth? Questions about his dating experience? Questions about how he treated other women? Have you asked questions like that for you to really get what your father is? Or perhaps it doesn't matter because he's just good to you, and that's all there needs to be. What if he was actually terrible to other women? What if he's actually killed women? Would that make him not less? Would that make him less than great? Would that make him less than great? No one is asking a man to be perfect. This idea of hurting other people and then claiming that you're a good person, that simply doesn't exist. I'm a good person. I don't hurt people. I don't hurt people on a daily basis. Anything I do doesn't end up hurting people. That's being a basically decent person. How many times has your father conned somebody out of their college tuition, out of their hospital money? How many times? Do you even have an insight into that? Do you know? How many times did he pass somebody a disease and then pretend that he didn't do it? He didn't know that. It wasn't his fault. How many times did he do that? How, do you know if he's raped anybody? Do you know if you raped an infant? When someone trusted him, someone thinking that it was human, trusted him with their child. Did you know that? Do you know that about him? What I can tell you is that if a man isn't having sex, it's profoundly unlikely he's in a great relationship. Relationship expect a partner to greet you with sex every day as you get in the door from work. Of course not. And no reasonable man would ever demand or expect that, except that almost every man has demanded that. Except almost every man is. So what you're saying is that almost every man are not reasonable. Almost every man is not reasonable. I mean, what is it that you're actually saying here? That's just a hell of a dream scenario to vaguely aim towards. It can't. their dream is to their dream is to enslave you. But none of that is happening, though. None of that is happening. You heard what I read from the beginning, right? Their dream is for you to submit to them. But no, they're not definitely not doing that. They're definitely not doing that. They're just aiming for normal subpar sex in their daily life. If they can get sex at any point in time, any kind of sex, just subpar sex, nothing that makes the dream or anything like that, nothing close to that. That they are just really happy, really happy. Mm-hmm. But then you're also supposed to give him sex, right? You're supposed to volunteer your body for his invasion. I mean, that's not submitting, and that's not him getting what he really wanted, which was the dream sex of you submitting to him. No. It's pure gibberish in here. So I have to find my place. I can get you moving in a direction that might be very useful, very loving, and a hell of a lot of fun. I mean, he's clearly writing this as a love letter to men. Because if he actually wanted to solve the relationship issue, he would address men, he would address all the abuse. It isn't just like physical abuse. It isn't just like emotional and financial abuse. It is literally men who you think you have a great relationship with, and then you find out later that they've been putting dog shit into your food. There are so many of them, and when you go under those stories, what you're reading is not, oh, you know what? Yeah, I know somebody who did it one time. It is endlessly, yeah, I had that. Just woman after 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 woman saying they experience the same thing. Endless array of women. We have those ones, right? Well, we don't have an endless array of women saying, oh, yeah, I'm so happy in my marriage. Come and see what my marriage is like. Come and see how great my marriage is. We don't have an endless stream of those, but they want us to believe that the norm for relationships is just pure happiness. It's pure happiness. And the same, obviously, in reverse, can a woman expect that a man spends every afternoon gardening with her, listening to her big presentation or serving her various needs? Women have never ever requested this nonsense that he's talking about. Not a single woman has ever requested this. No, but he should want to get somewhere close to that. But why? Because he should want her to be ridiculously happy and have a great life. What other reason could you possibly be? No, because you actually like each other. Because you actually love each other and you should want to be together. That is what that is. You see that? Do you see what I'm talking about? It leaks out. The truth leaks out. The truth leaks out if only you know where to find them. The reason that you spend time with your wife is not because you want her to be happy. It's because you love him. Excuse me, because you love her. It's because you love her and you want to spend time with her. And this is what women have been complaining about. Not that he doesn't want to, not that he doesn't want them to be happy, but that he doesn't even like them enough to want to be in the same room. And we are right back to the same circle, with everything pointing to the same exact story, like I told you. What women are complaining about is not that, no. He didn't go to a concert and just to make me happy. No, he doesn't even want to spend a minute in the room with her, except for the sex. This is what women are complaining about. Caveats, a list of caveats. Not because I don't trust my readers to think with nuance, I do, but because they add to the conversation. So disgusting. Men have more needs than sex, obviously. Do you? Do you? Because you keep telling us it's only sex that you want. We also know that you're supposed to, as a human, human organism, but you clearly you barely ever remember that you are supposed to have one of those. Do you? Let's hear them. Let's hear them. Have more needs than a listening here, or protection or playfulness, obviously. Neither sex is a machine that you should just be putting tokens in to get the prize, obviously. Although negotiations and bargains can be not only productive but sexy and fun. You shouldn't be giving your attention or your body to someone who isn't worthy of them, obviously. One night stand exists and sometimes sex is just for play. Really? Is it obvious? Is it really obvious to your fellow men? Because I know it's obvious to women because we don't try to force ourselves down a man's throat, right? But men do that. So is it really obvious? Is it really obvious? Please explain to me how it is obvious. Please explain to me how it is obvious. Because what men say is that I deserve a loyal woman. That is what they all say. Everyone deserves a relationship. Everyone deserves love. That is what they say under every video of every man, no matter how ugly, no matter how useless. That is what they say, but they never ever say this under women's videos. So which means they clearly mean it only for men. So how is this obvious? Tell me how this is obvious. Tell me how this is obvious. Tell me how this is obvious when they chase a woman who leaves them and then murders her. Tell me how this is obvious. There was a sheik, right? Of what is it, Dubai, who killed a woman for not cooking and cleaning for him. That man is rich. That man is ridiculously rich. And is killing a woman because she didn't cook and clean for him. How is this obvious? See, he could afford to buy 5,000 cooks. But he had to kill a woman because she refused to do it. How is this obvious exactly? One night stand exists. One night stands exist. Sometimes sex is just for play, obviously. Is it? Is it really? Is that really obvious? Because when women engage in it, what you men are doing is what you shame them for it. Is it really obvious? Is it really? But the endless childish lust of the Jersey Shore is now how most men approach sex. No, that's how you've always approached sex. And that is why, no, that's how you've always approached sex. That is why out of wedlock children have always littered every country, in every history, in every timeline, in every globe, and every point of time on the globe. That is how you approach sex. That is why when you rape women, you call it fun. That is why men have always approached sex. Relationships go through phases, obviously. More of a thing than less of a thing. Yeah. More time to then he means then less of more of a thing than less of a thing. More time to work on stuff, less time to work on stuff. Okay. Then less of it. Then less of a thing. I get what you're saying. So he's describing the ups and downs. Relationships go through phases, obviously. More of a thing, then less of a thing. More time to work on stuff, then less time to work on stuff. I cannot tell you what is right for you for your specific relationship. Again, why is no relationship not an option? Why is no relationship not an option? Obviously, not all men. Is it really? Is it really obvious? Not all men or women are the same. Obviously, some men don't relate to what we're saying here, and some men might find more meaning or validation or love in sex than some men do. Communicate with your partner about your needs. Again, why is it what is the default that there must be a relationship in the beginning? Because this is what men need. Because this is what men need. This is what men need. Be able to say not right now when you need to, obviously. No, obviously, because that's what they call rape. What is this guy talking about? He's like he's wavering between delusional, stupid, and demonically parasitic. Hold your partner accountable to be able to hear the word no without throwing a tantrum. Yeah, that's when a man hits you. That's when he grabs a chair and hits you with it. What is this guy talking about? What is obvious about this? Men, as an entire class of people, need to get better at taking care of the female organism, of the female orgasm. Yeah, 80% of women. 80% of women are not doing that, which means that, again, you need to understand what this different data are saying. When it is overwhelming like that, that means that you are not designed for penetration of the male. That means a woman is not designed for penetration of the male. But if males design themselves for penetration of the female, that is what is incongruent about them. That is why one wants it and the other one does not. Because I promise you, biology does not do this in a way that is one-sided. That if it needs true participation, it would design both to equally want it at the same rate. And the discrepancy between them is exactly your proof that it was not biological. It was not human biology that designed it. Of the female orgasm. Yeah, and a bunch of other things too. They also need to work on a bunch of other things too. They need to work on a bunch of other things too, not just the female orgasm. I'm simply pointing out what I've noticed and seen and felt about women and men. No, you are also telling us your the abject nonsense of your demonic mind, of your demonic mind. That's what you're telling us. You're also telling us, because what you keep telling us is that not having a relationship is not an option. Not having a relationship is not an option. Because let me show you. Show you what the topic of this is. Let me read it to you. Let me read it to you. I'm going to have to read it to you. Men just need sex. The topic of this is that men just need sex. It's not men just need relationships. But you keep assuming that needs to come in the form of a relationship, because what you need is that permanent sex, that permanent ongoing sex. Men just need sex. What is that, one time? 2 times? 3 times? Because your topic didn't address how frequently this is. Because so anybody can just assume that one time, that a male would just want the sex one time. Because that is a very reasonable thing to assume. Because us female, we are not designed to be attached to anything. So we can say, yeah, we can help you out this one time, except that when you need it to be constant and unending, then it becomes a problem. And this is what you're not even getting. You're not even getting this, even though women have told you this. Women have told you this. Every single woman with this problem, I've said again and again, I have told him to stop, and he refuses. They have told you that the continuity of it, that the endless number of it, that the abject unendingness of it is problematic. And I'm sure your wife tells you the same thing. If you are married, that is. I am sure whatever female you're dealing with tells you the same thing, that the unendingness of your need for sex is problematic. And obviously, men are excuse me, men are humiliatingly, oh God, what is wrong with my pronunciations? Men are humiliatingly selfish in this way and need to be better men than that. like the first truth he's ever said. Bro, welcome to reality. Welcome to reality. And this is exactly why women should not want to deal with you. Because even the women who do want sex, this is what they get. This is what they get, this humiliating selfishness. Women who do want sex, this is what they get from you. And finally, I didn't make these rules. I wish men didn't have to need sex. Obviously, I simply actually, yeah, every time you want a son, you are contributing this. Every time you say women should honor this sex thing, you are contributing to this. Every time you do anything to support male existence, you are contributing to this. You are upholding it. Obviously, I'm simply pointing out what I've noticed and seen and felt about women and men. Beyond this caveat, I think this is a lesson worth keeping in mind. People are very basic creatures with very basic needs. No. You males are. Us actual people. Our basic needs are food, water, air. And we're not acting like creatures in that pursuit. We're acting like perfectly normal people. It is you organisms, you creatures, you parasites are the ones acting like this. And you are not people. You are no people. Let's not pretend we're above having needs. Yeah, actually we are. Us women are. We have. Our needs are very, very human needs. And yours is not. Yours is demonic. Let's all not pretend we're above wanting to feel warmth and love. No, we're not. And that is literally the only part that is human that you said. Men need to do a better job of being great men. Exactly. Men need to do a better job of being great. So why did you start your article saying that the normal man is just great? The normal man is not an asshole. So clearly, if you need to do a better job at being great, you have been assholes. That can only mean that suggests that you have in fact been assholes. You have in fact been assholes. So why are you writing an article about what men need instead of what men need to start doing? About how men need to be better men instead of just, I need sex and you must give me sex. I need you to give me sex. I must go inside of you 5-10 times a day. And you should not have the right to say no. And you should want to give me your body 5-10 times a day. Sickness. How about we do that for you? How about we do that? How about women go inside you men's bodies 5-10 times a day? Let's see how that feels. Men need to do a better job of women, and women need to do a better job of accepting that men is. No, we don't. Actually, we need to do a better job of not accepting this shit. We need to do a better job of not accepting it. We need to do a better job of letting this man go by the wayside. It's not something to be disgusted. No, it is disgusting. It is disgusting. It is literally. Let me tell you something, ladies. There is a thing inside of you that tells you what is normal for your species. And when you see a peen, the reason you're disgusted by it because actually it's not normal to your species. The reason you are disgusted by penis is because it is not normal to your species. It is literally disgusting. Even they call you dirty because of their own disgusting penis. Supposedly other men's disgusting penis, but not theirs. No. Their penis is nice, but other men's penis is nice. But from the point of penis, it's all the same. It's all the same, right? This is why the double language. This is why the double language around sex is from. The disgusting nature of males. The actual disgusting nature of males. It is nothing to be disgusted about. Yes, this is just another way to brainwash you into thinking that sex is normal. It is not. The reason they were able to tell you that it is disgusting is because your nature knows that it is disgusting. The reason they can tell you that it is disgusting about you being with other men is because they know that it is disgusting. They are disgusted by other men. They are disgusted by other men. But they want you to accept their dicks. Carte blanche. It is disgusting. It is something to be disgusted by. It is something to be disgusted by. It's something to be participated in, but no, it's not. With all its messiness and awkward, oh God, this is good. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I gagged. I actually gagged. Keep playing with different ways of approaching sex until sex becomes fun. Oh God, God, that is actually disgusting. Oh, I am gagging right now. Not because of sex, but because of these males doing it. You're only alive for 80 years, and if God made anything better than sex, He kept it for Himself. So you might as well be enjoying it. Ladies, He did. He did make something better than sex, and that is love between women. And I don't mean that as a lesbian thing. I mean that as a community thing. That is love between a woman and her child. Two females. You understand? Not your son. I think most of this boils down to sense of humor. I think most issues in human life boil down to sense of humor. You ought to most issues. Can you guys hear the parasitism in them? He doesn't have to worry about being targeted, being stalked, being raped, doing all these things, right? Having to experience all these things. So to him, life is just about humor. Human life just boils down to a sense of humor. Because he doesn't have to worry. He doesn't have to worry that if he orders something from DoorDash and the wrong mail comes, he could be dead. He could wake up in the night to a robbery, to a burglary, and then be dead. He doesn't have to worry about that. Because he doesn't have to worry about feeding kids. Because he doesn't have to worry about watching kids starving and feeling despair. He doesn't have to worry about that. Because he only gives a kid, he only cares about himself and barely even about his own kids. The reason you see all the decaying of society is because you are human and they are not. The only thing they see is the part of life they are being cheated out of. It's the part of life they can't get. The part that where they win. No, that's not enough for them. Even that is not enough for them. The part where they get to see, the part they see is where they're being cheated. It's the little part where they are being cheated. They could have billions of dollars. And if you're allowed to go on a 15-minute break, they will tell you that you've cheated them. I think most of this boils down. Like I said, sense of humor. Yes, life would be life would go back to being a sense of humor once we can separate from your males. You will in fact become that again. You ought to go through life expecting the absurd and finding joy in the fact that humans display the same behaviors over and over and over, like animals, but even less sophisticated. Nonsense. And you should go into a relationship the same way. Because again, why do you need a relationship? You were born separate. He was born separate. Why again do you need a relationship? Why is a relationship the constant theme of this thing? When you started with just sex, huh? This shows you how they think. Sex was always about the sexual reproduction was always about tying you so they can get a relationship out of you, so they can have you available for constant sex. To go into a relationship the same way, because if you're paying any attention at all, it's going to be hilarious. Drink some water and give more than you think you have. Both of you, you're going to pass something down no matter what you do, or if you do nothing, even if you let yourself go follow. Even if you let yourself go follow, the weeds will grow and the brambles, something would grow. I feel like when I was discussing this, like Kate, she pointed out to me with Kate, probably his wife. She pointed out some much needed nuance about around this message that men have received over the last couple of decades. Basically, men got the wrong message. I think she's right. Here are Kate's notes, which I believe as she wrote them. I will just clarify here that I understand that some men have received this message, but it is actually the direct opposite of what women ever intended to convey. What women have a problem with is this covert attempts to get sex while not making their intentions known or discussing them, i.e., pretending to just want to be her friends or hang out while actually wanting sex and refuses to accept a no, which is the same exact thing. Which is the same exact thing. Which is the same exact thing. Hey, he literally describes that, he wants a woman to submit to him, to submit her body to him. Who the heck wants this? While providing nothing else, while providing absolutely nothing at all. And he says it as though it's obvious. While providing, what men want to do is get all of these things without providing anything whatsoever. Refusals to accept a no when it is given in the method most women would try to give it, which is a let him down easy and keep the peace, man. Yeah, this is the very same thing that he rejected in the beginning as what is happening, right? He said most men are not like this. And now the wife has to correct him that this is so common, it's impossible that it's not most men that are like this. Refusal to accept, okay, the reason that men do not do the covert thing is precisely because they are afraid of rejection. No, it's not that they are afraid of rejection. It is their nature. Because predators, let me explain this to you. The reason a lion has to crawl, a lion has to crawl to so that a prey doesn't know the lion is there. It's because it is trying to get from the lion something. It is trying to get from the prey what the prey would not want to impart with. They know this. That is why they approach it this way. It is innate to them. They do not have to be told that they are preying on a woman. Their thought process shows them that way the way to behave, and this is how they choose it. This is how it comes out. The men are not afraid of rejection, and therefore behaving this way. If you were afraid of rejection, you would approach it in a very, very different manner. You would approach it in a very, very different manner. They know what they're doing is preying on the woman. I have watched men, I have observed men in public spaces where everybody is just out there for everybody to watch. And they have this thing with their eyes that they're hiding their predatory behavior. You can literally, if you understand how predation works, you can literally see them trying to hide their faces, trying to hide their expression, so you don't know that they are thinking these predatory things. In a space, in a public space where everybody just gets to look at everybody, they are trying to hide because they're trying to hide their faces, their expressions, because they don't want you to know that they have predatory thoughts going through their heads. These things are not a mistake. It's all predatory. That is why they behave this way. And when you talk about when you talk to men about certain things, right? The answer they would tell you the answer that they would tell you tells you that they're not even thinking about rejection at all. This is simply their behavior. Because there was someone who sent me a message about a conversation that she had with a good male that she knows, that everyone thinks is a good boy, and that this male told her that if patriarchy was real, men would be allowed to kidnap women. This is what they think. this is their most basal thought. It is to kidnap you. This is why they have to pretend. This is why they have to covert. This is why they have to covert. People who are thinking that whenever they can get something, they are supposed to kidnap you, right? That is not somebody who has good intentions ever. That is not someone who can ever have good intentions. Stop playing with me. The reason they are covert is because they never have good intentions, and they don't want to be found out, so that they can no longer get a chance to have to present themselves. Covert because they are demonic. Because that is their nature. Stop playing with me. The reason that men do the covert thing is precisely because they're afraid of rejection. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because if you are afraid of rejection, the thought about kidnapping someone would never come to your mind. The thought about kidnapping someone would never ever come to your mind. And yet, when you catch them at just the right times, this is all they talk about. So they're trying to mask their request because it lets them pretend they were never asking in the first place if they get turned down. That's to protect their own emotions. You are right that women would much prefer a man to be confident enough to be completely clear about his intentions from the outset, not hide them. And the reason you have to reject them in the first place is because you have to understand they want this thing every minute of every day, which means that you're going to be inundated with requests for this behavior, right? Which means that you cannot actually have a life. That is why you have to reject them. That is why. So if not for the design in them that wants this thing 24/7, you would not need to reject them. You understand that? You understand that? Because look at kids. Look at kids. Kids want to be attached to their mother 24/7 too, and you have to reject them too, because otherwise you can't live your life. Exactly how that is designed. That is the design of anything that attaches to you. That is the design of anything that attaches to you in the sleep. You would want to get away from it. You would have to say no at some point. It ain't normal for you to be attached to another organism like this. But they want this thing every minute of every day. If you want to just, so they should, that means that they should know that because they want it all the time, they should expect rejection. I mean, he actually said that in there. He said, obviously. He said that it's not obvious to any man. I have never met a single man that it is obvious to. Crazy. This is insane. Something just come out my own. They should know that the reason that the mere fact that they want it all the time, that they are desperate for it, means that they would be rejected at some point, because it is not natural to. It is not natural to be attached to something like that. But they don't expect rejection in a way that's safe, in a way that is actually designed from them. Like for instance, when you start applying to jobs, you expect that that the first job you get, you're not going to get a rejection. That you are going to in fact get a rejection, which is that what? You're going to be crashing out. You're going to be crashing out because of it. Do you see the difference there? Do you see the difference between that which is natural and that which is not? Do you see the difference between that which is natural and that which is not. If you go to a market and you want to negotiate prices with it, you would expect that they would reject you, which means that what, you're not going to be crashing out. This is what a normal expectation of rejection looks like. What these males are doing is entirely demonic and nothing else. This is what normal rejection looks like. This is not about rejection. This is about wanting to force the woman. This is about wanting to convert it so that she can say no, so that she doesn't have a choice. Their own emotions. You're right that women would much prefer a man to be confident enough to be completely clear about his intentions from the outset, not to hide them. This one is really on men and an issue of their own courage and emotional fortitude. No, actually, yes, it is. Yes, it is, but it is also because they're not human. They are not human. Because this dynamic of having to get someone else, of having to go inside, invade somebody's actual literal insides, somebody's literal insides, yeah? That is not normal. That was never normal to begin with. And then to have to do it on the level of almost 24/7, that is not normal. But both of those things are a symptom of the fact that these males are parasites. And because they're parasites, when a parasite invades you, it is there 24/7. That is what they were trying to duplicate with this sex thing. Because the one-time sex doesn't do it for them. Yeah, and the human design doesn't let them attach to you because you have a skin barrier. Doesn't let them attach to you because you have a skin barrier that literally prevents them from getting at your insides. Right? So that is why they came up with this workaround. That's why they come up with this workaround. But the workaround, because of human design, it is a temporary thing. That is why, excuse me. Their own refractory period, their refractory period is even less than women's, or it's longer, I should say, than women's. That is what they're duplicating, and that is the entire purpose. That is what created this entire dynamic of even when you would even need to be rejecting them. The reason you are rejecting them is because you are not supposed to have somebody going inside of you. And so when they offer it to you, it just kind of turns your head. It turns your mind. It turns your mind because your natural state is that is not happening. And they can't understand why you don't want it at the time that they want it. They want it 24/7, right? It's not even that they want it maybe once a day. They just want this thing 24/7. Which means anytime you engage in them, they can anytime, just by their mere presence, you cannot get away from them. By their mere presence in society, you cannot get away from them. Because they want it 24/7. Right? Even if it's only a little bit of them. Even if it's only a little bit of them, you cannot get away from them because they want shit 24/7. If you are going to design a partner, this is not how you design a partner. Okay? If you are going to design a partner, it will be your biology that designs that partner. This is not how we would design a partner for you. Do you understand that? A partner that is not designed for your biology, that is another organism that forced itself on your species. Because your biology is self-evolving. Your biology does not take on another organism to evolve itself. It self-evolves. The reason for the second issue is not because men are jerks who won't accept a no. It's because they are not used to the more subtle social face saving methods of female. Oh. Social saving female communication. Sometimes they really don't understand when a no is a no. They don't understand female communication. Let me tell you, that is, I know that seems like such a little thing, but it is so important. This is a huge clue because every member of the species is supposed to communicate the same way. Because how well would you understand each other? How else would you understand each other? Every member of your species is supposed to communicate the same way because how else would you understand what the other one is saying? Imagine if birds had different ways of communicating. Imagine if birds had different ways of communicating. How would you ever know what one is saying? Imagine if we didn't have the same language. This is basically what we're saying, because your communication, language is only a small part of your communication. Your actual communication is located in your brain. It is the one that interprets. It takes in information and interprets it and then spits it out. That is your real communication. That one, the reason you can understand each other is because those parts have to be the same. They have to be the same. So when he's saying that, they don't understand female communication, they are literally telling you they are not the same species. They have to be the same species for you to understand each other. They have to be the same, and it can only be the same if they're the same species. They have to be the same. It can only be the same if you're the same species. They're literally telling you they are a different species. Because how else would you understand each other? Do you now see how it is impossible? How it is impossible to have a great relationship with people who cannot even understand you. Oh yeah, and what about the men who have said time and again that they would just rather what? Kidnap somebody. What about the men who actually do? What about the men who actually do? What about the men who rape? What about the men who say now rape is not even a thing? What about the men who are not currently saying that, well, it's not men who rape, it's women who actually rape? What about those men? What about those men? Why? What is the calculus for that? What accounts for that dynamic? Except for the parasitism thing, trying to convince you that they are normal and that you are the problem. And so that what they do is what is normal. So we should all do what they need to do. That is what they do. That's what they're actually doing. So how does he account for all of that? They literally don't understand a no is a no. How can you be a human and you don't understand that a no is a no? I'm sorry, how can you be a human that you don't understand something so simple as a no is a no? How can you call yourself a human being when you don't understand simple communication of no? Let me tell you something. The reason we can understand Chinese people without understanding Chinese people, when they say no, it's because no in our actual communication centers, in our actual brain communication centers, okay? It's the same thing. Shaking your head means the same thing. That is universal. And they're telling us they don't even have that. They are telling us they don't even have that. You can't understand a no is a no. They can't understand that a no is a no. You can understand what Chinese people are saying when they shake their heads. You can understand what they're saying just by simple moving of their eyes, and they can't even understand actual no. Disgusting. That's what this guy's trying to sell you. That's what he's trying to sell you as what is normal human biology. That you should consider catering to. one is on women for not being clear. One is on women for not being clear. I mean, how much more no can you be clear? Do you need a plane and words in the sky for your no to be clear? This is on women for not being clear. This is on women for not being clear. If a woman tells you no, a woman can tell you no in a million ways, and you, a woman, will still understand it as the no that's said, but they cannot understand it though. But they are too retarded to understand it. How come no is not a problem amongst women? Hmm? How come no is not a problem amongst women when there's a problem with you? Listen to this gibberish. Listen to this gibberish. You need a billboard that says no before he understands that you're saying no. You might need to rent an airplane and some words in the sky, or maybe a balloon. They literally don't understand that when a no is a no. One is on women for not being clear and stringing men along so as not to hurt their feelings. So now you're trying to be polite. It's on you. This is now you trying to be polite is on you. You have to tell him no so that he can then kill you. Do you understand the demonic nature of this? And try to preserve what women view as a friendship. No. It's not just what women view as a friendship. It's actual assault on women. It's actual deadly assault on women. They should take responsibility for this one. While you're correct that this is a mistake, I also don't think it was ever an overt message being given, more like a misunderstanding. It was barfy at best. This was sickening to me. This made me sick. This made me sick. Sickening nonsense. Doesn't matter how many times you tell him no, he won't understand. And when he finally understands that you really mean no, that's when he attacks you. And you are supposed to take responsibility for him, right? You're supposed to take responsibility to be clear. You're supposed to take the responsibility for getting yourself hurt. But don't hurt his feelings. Don't hurt his feelings, though. Disgusting. You see that, ladies, you cannot win with these males around. We cannot win anything with these males around. We have to get rid of them somehow. We have to get rid of them somehow. That is what I'm telling you. We have to work on getting rid of them somehow. I don't care how we do that, as long as we do it.